Hi, welcome to my channel. It's entitled Thoughts for the Day by D McCray. In light of all the things that's been going on with Black Lives Matters and all the issues that's going on today, I recalled a memory that I would like to share when I discovered what it meant to be a little black girl in a New York City public elementary school that was 90% white. The year was 1966. It was a year I will never forget. First they called me colored, and then they called me Negro, and then they called me black. But I already knew that I was black. My parents told me that. My parents were black before it was vogue, when the rest of our relatives were still colored and Negroes. And the light-skinned kin got upset with them for calling their own children black. Daddy said, "My kids are black, and there's nothing wrong with that." He said black kids are smart and beautiful too. And if my father said it, then it must be true. When I was a kid in elementary school, I was amongst the first group of minority kids who were selected to attend a New York City public elementary school that was out of our community. It was according to the Brown versus Board of Education Act. The bill was passed in the South in 1957, but it wasn't implemented in New York City until 1966 because of the district laws. When the district laws were lifted, it gave equal opportunity for all kids to attend any New York City public school, even out of their district, to promote diversity. Diversity didn't mean a thing to me. I didn't want to go to that school. I wanted to go to school in my community where the kids look like me. But my mother insists. She said, "You are just as smart as those other kids, and you will attend that school." I used to walk to school with a group of kids that lived in our community. But now I boarded a yellow school bus with a group of other black kids who were selected from our district, and we were bused uptown to attend a New York City public elementary school that was out of our community. That school was 90% white because of the district they lived in. They had a few black kids, but they were light-skinned, and they believed they were better than me because of the hue of their skin, the texture of their hair, and the district they lived in. Now, I don't blame the kids. They were only doing what kids do. But I was a kid too. So where was the principal? And why wasn't he there to welcome us before we got off the bus? And why didn't the PTA realize the revolution would not be televised? It wouldn't be seen on their floor model black and white TV screens. We didn't start the revolution. We were all just kids, black and white. I was always told that I can be whatever I wanted to be. But I soon discovered, not according to the system of things, for little black girls that looked like me, we were marginalized and labeled underprivileged Negroes because of the district we lived in. Then one day at school, those kids called me a name. They called me an underprivileged Negro because of the district I lived in. Now you see, Daddy was my mentor, and I was his protege. I listened and I believed everything he said. Daddy had a way of speaking to me that built up my self-esteem. And Daddy schooled me before I got on that bus. He said, "Little girl, you are not a princess. You're a queen, and you must stand up for yourself. That's what queens do. Don't you let those kids pick on you. Use your words to defend yourself. Mind your manners, and don't cuss. You know better than that." Then I recalled what Daddy told me to do. And I told those kids, my dress is pressed, my shoes are polished, and in my hair, I have a satin ribbon tied in a bow. And that's proof I am not underprivileged. And don't call me Negro. I'm black. And my father said, there is nothing wrong with that. He said black kids are smart and beautiful too. And if my father said it, then it must be true. I was always outspoken, not rude, not fresh. I knew better than that. Now, I told Daddy what those kids said to me, and I told him what I said to them. He just laughed and said, "Little girl, you done well. Now you pay those kids no mind. No one is better than you. And those little girls may be pretty, but they are not as pretty as you. And I don't care what they say. Now you hold your head up high and pay those kids no mind. And don't hit first, no matter what they say. That will only create an excuse to put you out of that school. The PTA don't want you kids there in the first place. And as long as you remain, then you win. Do you understand what I'm telling you? You have a right to be there, and you have nothing to prove. Let your grades speak for you." Well, I suppose Daddy was right. In my little girl's world, he always is, because I was a daddy's girl. But I said it anyway, because that's what I do. And Daddy knew that would be exactly what I would do. But those kids never called me or my friends underprivileged Negroes again. And dear Mrs. Unger, my teacher, I will never forget her name, witnessed the whole thing. And she didn't say a word until I was through. And then she said, "Well, good for you." And she placed a star next to my name for standing in my truth. Well, I suppose since she was a Jew, she had been called names too. And if she were my friend, I would have stood up for her too. Because Daddy said, that's what queens do. Now, Daddy is no longer with me today, but the seeds he planted remains. And I thank God for giving Daddy to me, a black man who told his little girl she was a queen. I believed it then, and I still do. Now, Daddy wouldn't lie to me. So if my father said it, then it must be true. And I thank God for placing me in Mrs. Unger's class, a Jewish woman who had my back. And she placed a star next to my name for standing in my truth. Me, a little black girl who stood her ground and demanded my respect in the New York City public elementary school in 1966, 100 years after slavery. And they still didn't accept or see the beauty in little black girls that look like me.